Welcome to How I Generate It, where I talk to AI filmmakers about their projects, their inspiration, and of course, how they generate it. Today, I'm talking to Melody and Dina, also known as LeMoon and Ethereal Gwirl, who combined forces to become a co-creating duo known as Ethereal Moon. Ethereal Moon is known for their strong storytelling combined with expressive and enjoyably disturbing nostalgia. We cover a lot in this episode, from collaboration, prompting tips, getting sponsorships, and things like understanding training data to get the best results from your prompts. I really enjoyed talking to Dina and Melody, and I hope you'll enjoy the following conversation with Ethereal Moon. Melody and Dina, thank you so much for being on How I Generate It. You're a collaborative duo. I assume you're both doing AI stuff separately. How did this collaboration start?
Yeah, so it's kind of crazy. We talk about it all the time because we both were on Instagram, just kind of doing our own thing. And Melody, I think, reached out to me and was like, I like your stuff. Like, would you want to do a collaboration? And from there, we actually didn't do a collaboration. We created something called the Midnight. What was it, Melody? The Midnight Collective. Yeah, it's been a while at this point, like a year ago. And it
I know.
was, yeah, we were like drawn to storytelling. So we were trying to get people to tell stories through carousels on, like, image carousels, because video really wasn't out at that time. So that was kind of our first project together. But then we became like friendly, and our lives seemed to have a lot in common. And our styles were very complementary. I won't say similar, but super complementary to each other. And we had joined like forces to do a runway competition, the Gen 48.
Mm-hmm.
And we worked really well together and just kind of continued from there.
We did share a very early Discord server together. So we were used to prompt together, even if we weren't like working on stuff actively. And I think it like built also the relationship. It helped because we sharing the prompt is like sharing the secrets, the secrets of.
Mm-hmm.
People are they keep their prompts like close to the chest. And we were very like open about like, let's just make the best thing that we can possibly make. I trust you. Let's just, start blending our styles together and see what we get. And yeah, I mean, it's been like a progressive friendship relationship, like anything. It just, it was very driven by the like business creative side, but the friendship is I feel like she's one of my best friends at this point, which is so
You are
nice
my
because like,
best friend for sure.
Oh.
Like we're talking
yeah.
every day. I think I told you
we
more than my husband. So
Yeah, I do feel that way. And it's funny because I like tell my husband, I'm like, we found something else out that is like we have in common. Like every time we talk, I feel like there's something new. So it's just been a really great like dynamic.
I love that, because one thing that I feel that I really enjoy about this moment in AI is that you have a lot of people who've been really creative, but they don't have the right outlet for it. They don't have the right way to express themselves. And they might not know people who are also interested in those things. And I feel like I've seen a lot of things like where people will connect in general on a Discord server, where you feel like, oh, there's other people out there that are interested in this kind of thing the same as I am, whether it's dark fantasy or old movies or something. And so it's really cool that you were able to take that a step further, even and like start collaborating, not just being on a Discord server with similar people in a community, but like where you've created a real life friendship out of that. So I love that so
Yeah.
much. That's so great.
Yeah, I think that's why people too were a little bit curious about the work we were doing, because I feel it's something that not many are doing. They're using AI for the control to do everything themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, there is a little bit of secrecy with prompting and the way you go about things. And I think they're interested in like, well, how do you guys work? Like, are you prompting separately? Like, is there a secret? Are there things that you choose to keep to yourself? And it's really like, no, we consider us to be like co-creatives, not really collaborators at this point. We do everything together. And so there really is no separation of what we're doing. And I think people find that interesting.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
Yeah.
every step of the way we're like talking to each other and making decisions and inputs. So yeah, it's been great, and I've collaborated with other artists, and it wasn't like this. Sometimes they just want to do the editing or write the story, and you're doing the prompting and they animating, and so each person has a role. But our friendship, work, collaboration is more co-creation. Yeah, every step of the way we work together. I love that.
Yeah. Not to run away with it, but it is really nice to we share the timeline and everything, and so we can get into that later, but
Yeah.
we'll put things in and there's a trust that you can replace whatever you want. It's not like I'm going to open it and be like, "Why did you get rid of that?" You know, that's what's really nice about the dynamic.
I trust you like 100% completely.
Same.
And how does, just out of curiosity, how does that work then? So like, do you, because you're on, like you're in different places, I know, different time zones. So how does that work in terms of like, does one of you have an idea and say, hey, we should do a story about this? Or do you like have regular meetings, like check-in times that you decide that you're going to talk about things? What's the process when you're going to come up with a new video? How does that start?
I think lately we decided to get like iPhones both, so we could like chat in the message app and like having our chats separate, because we were used to chat all over the place, like on Instagram, on Discord, on Twitter, and it was all over the place. So now every idea and important talk happens through there, and then we usually make our images on Discord, and we have found tools that allows us to collaborate together. And yeah, the different time zone, I think we managed to make it work, in our advantage, because I feel sometimes we're like a really big working machine, because we can pretty much work all around the clock if we have a deadline, because once I'm asleep, Dina can work, and before she's awake, I can work like for maybe 5 or 6 hours. And so it's really nice to have that and to be able to make deadlines, very tight deadlines. We have experienced that for like competitions, festivals, or even for commission work. So this is happening more and more. And we have, because I'm in France and Dina is near New York, we have a big amount of hours together. Like my whole afternoon is your morning and then beginning of afternoon. So yeah, we can work together pretty well with the differences.
And our sleep habits aren't great, so there's extra time in there where I'm waking up and I'm like, "Oh, Melody answered," but it's like 4 a.m. and I'm like, "Oh yeah, okay, like whatever," and then I'll go back to sleep. Or like she'll say something and I'm like, "Isn't it like 3 a.m. there? What are you doing?" But there's some bleeding into the sleep.
Yeah, and the best ideas come up like half awake, and
Yeah.
Have you felt like since AI has come out that like you've found a new sort of creative purpose at all? Because I imagine you both were doing creative things prior, just because there's such a great artistic style to like what you do. I know I felt this personally. It was like I was doing video stuff, but when I was able to do AI video stuff, suddenly you were talking about the sleep. I felt like I was getting no sleep because I could just like be doing. It was almost an addictive thing where it's like you just want to keep doing as much as you can, because it's the opposite, I feel like, of like doom scrolling, where you're looking at things and you're just consuming things all the time. You're able to create something and see the result, and create something and see a result. And if you're a creative person, that's just like, it's like a high that you can't get off of. Sometimes it's hard to disconnect from.
We all talk about like the dopamine hit, like you just like the rush of like, wow, that's amazing, or that's exactly what I wanted, or it's not what I wanted, but it's so much better,
Let me change this part of it. Oh, now I'll change this part of it. Yeah.
Yeah. So I actually wasn't doing creative stuff before this in a professional manner. I was always kind of like I'm like a DIY kind of jack of all trades, get into a little bit of everything type of creative. And I guess I always had stories, but really no outlet for it. So this is the first time in my life that I feel like I have a way to get these stories out there in a way that people can enjoy and that I'm like satisfied with. So it's been kind of life changing, honestly, for me. Before that, I was a paralegal. So, I mean, I was doing that. I went to college for business, and we've kind of talked about this like briefly, but I graduated during like the recession. And so it was like, do not go to school for art. You will not, you will be so poor, you will regret it. And so I went for business management and like hated it. And I actually was like like on the management track at Geico and I quit. I like could not, I was like dying inside. So I quit that and I ended up falling into the paralegal, like a law office. And I did like that, but then I had kids and that was really not kids, COVID. I really wasn't able to work. I was working and watching them from home and it was just like, this is not working. So I kind of hit pause on that and then found this, which I never really imagined it would evolve into more, but I'm so grateful that it has.
Yeah, I
That's
remember
awesome.
like a few days ago, you told me, damn, this is a career. It's not like some
Yeah.
crafty thing I do on my own at night. It's becoming a real career for us.
Yeah.
Yeah, and on that note, I know you've done, I'm not saying the right word, like business collaborations with people, like you did the notebook one, the Lenovo, is that what it
Oh,
is?
yeah, yeah.
Are
Yes.
there other ones? Are you finding, I know a lot of people have these questions of like, how do I make money? I enjoy doing this, but how do I make money off of this? It sounds like you found an avenue, probably with your business background, I assume, being able to know how to no,
It's
not,
really
not,
melody. Honestly, it's
oh, really?
really
Oh,
melody. I feel like I have more people who come to me with like, do you do music videos? Will you do like a series, like a commission series? She really has been, and that's also what's been great about this partnership is I feel like we both bring in different elements. I always say to her, how are you getting these? Like I'm dry on that end. So it's been great.
Yeah, but
yeah, how are you doing that, Melody?
yeah, it's really, I don't know, because people just contact me. I'm not like actively searching for anything. I think my account on Instagram was one of the old ones, the AI creative people. I think it was Mid Journey V3 when I started. So it was a while ago. And I don't know, I have less follower than you, but yeah, I don't know why, but like
My
agencies and stuff
yeah.
like that, they tend to contact me. So I don't know exactly why. Sometimes it's through our website also. I think people find us. So um but we don't do anything. Like it's a bit of Instagram, a bit of Twitter, a bit of websites, and they just find us. That's
That's
it.
great.
No secret.
Yeah. My followers are not really like they're wonderful, but they're more people who are there to watch the content. They're it's not like they're, oh, this would be a great business. Let's get them. So, yeah, it's just two different things and I think that's also important just for people out there who are worried about the followers. It's not really about like the number. It's about like the right people finding you and I guess reaching the right audience for that. So,
I think I
Yeah.
did a few early interviews also, and that may have helped because I do have a background in video production, TV production, video games. So this, I think people look for AI artists with also a background in anything productive, like video. If you do video, they will look if you have like a professional background in that. So maybe that helped also. I don't know. Honestly, I don't have the answer, but
yeah.
we do bring both project, and we decided to share it, and so it definitely brings more project for both of us. And I think it's the best decision ever, because I'm stressing so much with deadlines, negotiating, having just someone else looking at the project propositions and having someone to talk to makes it 100 times better.
Yeah, I agree. And also, like we mentioned that we're both moms and we're home with the kids and it's summer, and there are things that I would never be able to have met the deadline on if it wasn't for having a partnership and somebody else kind of chipping in and carrying the weight and making sure that, like, we say it all the time, I'm gonna be useless today. My kids like need me. They want to go to the pool, they want to do this or that, and the other person's like, it's raining here, I got it, like, I'll work on it. So it's been great with that too.
That's actually a great use of the staggered time zones too. It's like
Yeah.
for the deadlines, you have a longer work day between the two of you in a way.
Yeah. And with the staggered timelines, like, we have the shared editing program. So it actually works out better because, like, you would think that it would be great if we were in the same time zone and we were like doing things simultaneously, but really only one of us can be in there at a time. So it's actually better because she's working on it. I'm not like, I got to get in there. And then later on in the day when she's done, it's like, okay, I'm going to go in now. So it actually works out, I think, better for us.
That's cool. So you're
Yeah.
generating all of the stuff in Discord, like on a shared private Discord server where you can see the images and see the videos. And then you have an online editing tool where one of you can log in, do an edit, it syncs it to the cloud, and the other one can start picking up the edit from there. Is that how that works?
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's great. That's a great workflow. I have things, and I'm not sure, like, now that I just kind of watch videos and I'm not sure which is which. So there's like Denny the Shark and I feel like Daisy May and the Infants. I'm going to say it wrong, of St. Jean. That's
Oh,
the
yeah.
collab, right? I feel like those
Yeah,
are your...
those are
They
all
all collabs, yeah.
Yeah.
pretty much, if it's in color, it's a collab at this point. I pretty much, if I'm doing something just messing around on my own, it's black and white. So you can pretty much be guaranteed if it's up there and it's in color, it's ours.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
One thing that I noticed on a theme that I noticed in a lot of your stuff was like the storybook or children's book kind of style of storytelling. Where does that come from? Because I think it's really effective. And to me, it's one of the things that, earlier you said, we're not sure why people are contacting us, about these collaborations and stuff. I know why they are, because your stuff is like visually very interesting and the storytelling is very solid and there's always twist endings to it. Like I think of them as, almost like these Twilight Zone kind of things condensed to like 1 minute, or Black Mirror, but that seems too techy. But it feels more like a children's book version of a Twilight Zone episode in like 1 or 2 minutes. And I really like that about it. And I think visually they're so interesting. And so I think that's why people are contacting you, because you're doing great work.
Yes.
But then one of the themes that I noticed in it is like, it seems like a lot of times there's like TV screens or like it are involved, and there's like two different worlds. There's, whether it's a TV screen or like an art frame, there's two different sides of a world that you see in the stories coming out. Where, like, is that a conscious thing, or is that just like something that you are drawn to as a storyteller?
So this was like weirdly pointed out to us, and I did not even like realize it. There were two things. One, that it's become kind of like our signature mark that we have these screens within our videos. It wasn't that I was intentionally doing it or that we were intentionally doing it for every video, but what we are drawn to is this like world building and just kind of like Easter eggs, and I like adding to the story. If we can fit in something that relates on the TV screen instead of just a blank screen to kind of tie it all together, or a nod to something else, why wouldn't we? And so it kind of started with that, and has just become like something we both really enjoy doing consistently. The second thing was kind of very similarly, we were told that we seem to use photographs as proof that something has happened in our videos, and I never really thought of that, but it was the same thing because we're inserting these photographs the same way we do with the TV screens. And it was interesting to like see that in multiple stories, and it was like, oh yeah, I guess we are kind of using that technique there as well to like prove things. So it's like we do it because we like it, but the goal what or like the meaning behind it wasn't necessarily intentional.
I have my theory about it. I have another one. Like, I think older people are drawn to AI, not the young ones. At least what is it called, the millennials. Yeah, I think millennials. So growing
Mhm.
up in an analog era, and then throughout their young years having digital coming their way and living through digital age. And I think AI brings a certain analog quality to it, because you can revive stuff like the old TV screens and the texture of 1980s sitcom shows. And TV is like, I think I was brought up by TV. Like, I had a TV in my room. I was 3 years old and I had my TV. And during holidays, vacation, and stuff like this, I watched TV. It was the main activity. And
Yeah.
I think putting TVs in everything also brings back a little bit of that lost time, because once digital arrived, it the analog era was lost forever. So it's just nostalgia, deep nostalgia
Yeah.
for me. Yeah.
And I noticed that in some of the, like, a lot of your stuff seems more like square, more like old time TVs, even though it's not doing like the wide thing. I know that might work well for social too, but it, like, the style seems to just fit the square a lot better too.
It's actually
And
4/3, so it's the format of old
oh,
TV.
4:3.
Yeah.
Oh, that's very cool. Yeah, because that is the
Yeah.
old TV aspect ratio. So that's definitely a conscious effort to make
Yeah.
those that style.
I think we did that for a few reasons, probably drawn to that because of the nostalgia aspect. It is a little more pleasing for social media. I feel that generating in that format is better as well. When you start to generate in the longer formats, I feel like I need to do a smaller and then
Expand.
expand on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just feel like there are many reasons why that size kind of works for us. But yeah, it's become kind of like our staple, to the point where if a competition is like, we need it 16:9, we're like, all right, I guess.
And I think you're right about it working better originally too. I don't know if it's still this way, but I know a lot of the image generators were trained on like square videos.
Mhm.
And I remember trying to do some things once where you would do 9 by 16 and it would like duplicate a person, so their head would be here and then a head
Mhm.
would be coming out of their torso or something. So it just seems like they understand square a little bit better anyway, which is cool.
I think there's more detail in it, and that's why if you do it on a smaller, like a 4 by 3 or 4 by 5, you get more detail, and then you expand and fill in the rest. I feel like sometimes that's lost when you just go straight to the longer
Yeah.
images.
I,
So,
I think if you're prompting 69, you will get all the images trained on recent films, because you will
good
get
point.
more cinematic digital style. So if you're aiming for a different older style, you have to start by a square or full street for sure. You will hit
Yeah.
different pockets of like trained data.
Yeah. That's a great point. Good observation. It's almost like that thing how people talk about how style, at least in the US, style hasn't really changed since 2000. And so, like, ever since like smartphones have come out, like, fashion and style, like everything has just started to look the same. Whereas you used to be able to say, look at a photo and say, that's from the 70s, that's from the
Yeah.
80s, that's from the 60s. Now it's like, it's either 2005, 2015, or
Yeah.
today. So I feel like that's the training image stuff too, just doing the square. I think, like you're saying, it probably gives you more access to the
Distinct.
nostalgia kind of
Yeah.
images that you're going for. And what about have has it come up to you about like it seems like there's like the doll like appearance. Like some of them like there are actual dolls, you know, or like
Yeah.
robot kind of dolls. Is there any kind of significance behind that or is it just kind of like a stylistic choice like you know, if you try and generate very realistic people, it looks terrible sometimes. So
I
is
think
that part of the
I think it's
reason?
interesting. I mean, we both I was doing the black and white dolls with the giant eyes. Melody always had lots of big eyes and lots of them, just lots of eyes and everything she does. And I think there's something like that uncanny feeling about it that we love, that it's like familiar, but something is just not quite right with it. And so it pulls you in a little bit. Like you're watching these giant eyes and they're cute, but they're also making you a little bit uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
So I think at this point, we also love the style of it that we just keep going back to it.
And it also animates really well because I don't know if it I'm always trying to think on what it is trained, and maybe there are a lot of like puppetry videos, I don't know, in the training data, and the dolly creatures we have and persons, they are animated like puppets sometimes, and
Mhm,
it
Mm-hmm.
adds, or like stop motion, and
mhm.
it's like goes there and gives us the great animation style we're looking for also, because
Mm-hmm.
if you take realistic people, it will be even uncannier, I think, because it does some crazy stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know too.
And when you have the style of characters that you have and something's a little bit strange, it almost enhances the strangeness
Yeah.
of it. It's not like a detractor from like the realism, you know?
Yeah. It allows us to be a little bit more forgiving with, like, we just had this talk with somebody where we were like, so what? AI gives you an extra finger on someone's hand. It's fine. Like, it's weird and it works for our style. If we were going with realistic people, that would be, we'd need to redo that part. We'd need the five-fingered hand, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But we're going with characters that are quirky, and I think people appreciate it because it kind of teeters on like between like cinema and art, you know? So
Mm-hmm.
it's a little bit more forgiving with what we're putting in, and I think that's kind of where we thrive because we want it to be engaging and also thought provoking. We want to tell the story, but we also want to have that artistic flow to it. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I think that style is really, really great for us.
I think
That's
also
awesome.
like not a lot of people want to use AI commercially on like TV ads or anything, or producing full series or animation series, because they think there are too much little things that are not right. But we think
Mhm.
that the story is more important so far. So if
Mm-hmm.
you have the
Yeah.
stories, the little details, like 90% of people won't see the little details, if like the belt is on the left or on the right, or if they have like ears coming out or whatever. And it's like people won't use these amazing tools just because of that. And
Yeah.
I
I
will
think
be happy to have like a test public and tell, see if they can tell, because
or if it bothers them.
yeah.
I think that what I like about it too is that I feel like audiences are smarter than like film companies give them credit for. Like, have you ever watched a movie and they explain something and you're like, I didn't need you to say that.
Yeah.
I got it. Like, you know, it was pretty evident what was happening. And I think that's kind of what this is doing. Like the audience is smart enough to follow along with the story. The ears are not throwing them.
Mm-hmm.
Like it took nothing away from the tell of the story, and they were able to come to the conclusion on their own. I don't think, you know, it needs to be so rigid. And I feel like that I see it all the time, especially, I mean, I get it with my kids when they watch shows and they need to learn, but sometimes, you know, you watch an adult show and you're like, I really, it takes away from it. Now I feel like this is weird that you just said like, wow, like I found this in the cabinet. And you're like, I just saw you find it in the cabinet. You didn't have to tell us, you know?
My version of that my pet peeve is like there'll be a big dramatic scene and they'll kind of pause the action and someone will be like, wait, why are you doing this? Like it's like, well, we know, like we're following
Yeah.
along. Like you don't have to
Yeah.
have someone spell out the
It's like
stakes of this scene. Like
it's
I'm
like
watching
the
this movie. I
teacher.
know what's going on, you know?
Yeah, it's like the teacher that stops you mid-test to be like, "Okay, everybody, you still with me?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
You're like,
Let's
yes.
continue." And it's like, we don't need that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think I
Agreed.
yeah,
heard somewhere that they doing that because of Netflix. People are on their phone and they
second screen.
need to repeat that, like it's a guideline. If you want anything on Netflix, you have to repeat several times the same important stuff happen
Yeah,
because people are not like
because their
talkers.
attention
Yeah.
span.
Yeah. That's interesting. Yeah. I feel like that's what I love about like the recaps now because like
Yeah.
sometimes I'm like, where am I at with this show that I picked that I left abandoned 3 weeks ago? So one thing that I wanted to ask you about was I know you use 11 Labs, I believe, for a lot of the voices. And there's two things that are interesting to me. And some of them, the voice is whispering, and that's kind of an interesting choice, I think. But then the other thing is that sometimes they'll be in French, sometimes they'll be in English. And I feel like it's so easy to just say, let's do a English version and a French version, but there's only the French version and it's subtitled. And I actually like that. I feel like it fits the stories a little bit better sometimes. So I'm just kind of curious, like when you're generating the voices, what kind of thought are you putting into that? Because that's such a big part of what makes your movies work so well, I think.
Well, I think we did just the Mystère series in French. It was a choice we made, like it was decided like this. And all the stories are kind of happening in France. You will see like a lot of little things that really happen in France, like the catacomb story is based on a true story. So there's a little bit of everything. And for the voiceover, funny story is that the voices were they were like one or two that were really good in French on 11 Labs, but it wasn't so good in the pronunciation when we started using non-native languages or the synthetic ones. So what I did is I used the speech to speech, what is it called, like speech
Yeah,
from 11 Labs. So I did all the voiceovers myself. I acted all the characters, the narrator, everything, and used that with voices that were in the catalogs, in the 11 Labs catalog, and it worked so good. Like really, it's the best feature I ever found on there. It's not really known, and if you're not English and you're looking for other accents or anything, you should just do it yourself and use that. It's amazing.
Wait. So just so I understand, you would speak in French or you would speak in
I
English?
speak in French, and then I used one of their voices to match what I'm saying, and
like layer it, like mask
yeah,
it.
Mm,
it
okay.
replaces my voice, but it keeps the tones, the inflections and everything, the rhythm, the way I say it, and it just changed the voice, like a voice
That's
She
teacher. Yeah,
interesting.
actually
and
she has a post somewhere with showing it, and it's really interesting to hear because it was actually the first time that I had really heard them, and I knew she was doing it, and I had heard it for maybe one of the videos, but there were like a few different ones back to back, and it's really interesting to hear how well it keeps it.
yeah, like I
Very
did
cool.
an old lady's voice, like accents and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
she was doing like characters and
And you can
yeah.
sing, and so it's not just the output, like sometimes it says on always the same kind of rhythm, and so you can have like ho and ha and ha ha, and you can laugh and having everything you want. So even if you're
Hmm.
not an actor, it's always better, I feel.
Yeah. Yeah, especially
Natural.
I've noticed that with like laughing and stuff like that. Like it literally like pronounce the laugh. Like it doesn't laugh, it'll be like haha, here's something, you're like, oh, that's not good. So it sounds like this is a great way to like really have expressive AI characters, which I hope a lot of people will do more of, because sometimes you just hear the very flat like AI voice. It's like, oh, like this is
Or the same
hurting your
voice,
content.
like,
Yeah.
I know who that is,
Yeah.
you know? Yeah.
That's the default voice. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a great tip. Yeah.
Yeah.
When Luma Dream Machine came out, like I saw like one of your videos there. I think you have like 2 videos on their homepage now. Do you get access to a lot of different tools and stuff? Like, do people reach out to you not just for sponsorships, but do you get early access to a lot of tools? And like, what are some of the things that you enjoy about those sneak peeks?
I think it's like, first of all, I'm like super flattered because I'm like, I had no video experience a year ago. And like, it's so flattering to me that people are like, we need you to try this. I'm always like, me? um, but it's just like really amazing to see the tech of like where we are going. It's so exciting. And every time we get kind of like new information on like something someone's working on, or like, you know, a new feature that's coming out, we like can't believe it. Again, the partnership works really well because we both use tools differently. And I like have said this before, but sometimes I can't get something to work. And I'm like, I don't know, this feature, I don't know about this. And then she'd be like, no, it's great. This is what you got to do. And so there's like, we're teaching each other also, or giving tips on how to effectively use it. And I think it really helps. It kind of cuts down on the exploration time and like, you know, familiarizing yourself with the tools. But yeah.
And it's crazy to see the big tech companies fighting over us, because it's always like escalating, you know? This one is doing like the new generative like Luma best than OpenAI, and then Runway, and we were in the beta also, and then they had an image and they asked us, what next feature do you want to have? And we like say to them, and it's like flattering.
Yeah, it is.
I think that's one thing that's really interesting about being in the early stages of AI stuff, is that if you are doing really interesting stuff like you're doing, that you're actually part of being able to shape what these big companies are creating, because they're listening to the people that are not just using it, but using it to make like really interesting content with it. So it's like you actually have a chance to shape what the future looks like in a way, which is a really cool, and I feel like a
Crazy.
fleeting moment. Like I can imagine in 3 years, that's not going to be the case. They're just going to be like, you know, how do we make as much money as possible from everyone? But it's
Yeah.
very
We're
cool to
also
have a voice in that, I imagine.
Yeah. And we're also super thankful because we have access to all of these features. We're able to make our videos better and experiment and include not just one tool because we're poor and we cannot afford to own all these tools. They're really allowing us to see what we can do and how we can make a piece like the best it can possibly be. And so we've got like, at this point, I feel like we've got like at least 5 minimum tools in each video, like at least, but every day I feel like that's increasing. So, you know, it's really, we're fortunate because I know people will ask me like, well, how much is that? And I always feel bad because, you know, I don't actually know. And I know people need to make hard choices about like, which one am I going to use? And so I kind of will try to like at least take the knowledge I have on the programs and like steer them in the right direction. If you're looking to do this, then you may want to invest in Pika. If you want this, you may want to invest in Runway. So, but yeah, we're really lucky with that.
Yeah, that's good. One tip I have on that too is like to a lot of times I feel like you don't want to get locked into the 1 year thing, like the recurring thing for a year, even though it might be a little bit more for the month. The companies change so much and new things come out. It was like there was a point where we had like
Yeah.
Luma and then Gen 3 and then Kling all within like a month, I think, came out. And it's like, well, you know, if you're trying to figure out where do I spend my $10 or $15 a month, it's like that changes every month. You know, there might be one that's
Yeah.
better than another.
I like the only thing I think I pay for the year for is Magnific.
Or
but I could probably do that with Midjourney,
Mm,
honestly, at this point, because that has been a staple for me. But everything else I'm doing monthly that I need to, because yeah, I mean, sometimes you have a project that you're using it nonstop for, and then you'll have like 4 months where you don't need this tool or you're not using it, and so it's just better to stop and restart it when you do.
yeah.
Yeah, I think I only have Midjourney on a yearly basis, and they don't offer any partnerships. So, and Suno also, but I think I
Mhm.
paid this on the months, but I use it all the time. That's my
Yeah.
favorite audio tool.
Yeah. See, and I actually lowered my subscription because I feel like, to be honest, Melody handles most of the music.
Mhm.
And so I have it so that I can also try out prompts and contribute, but I find that I'm not using them as much as I was. So I lowered that. So, that's always good too. Sometimes if we have something, I'll increase. Like Midjourney,
Sure.
I was on the $60 plan and
Mhm.
I was like burning through it. We had so many projects. I'm like, all right, I got to upgrade to the 120. No. But yeah.
So here's my timeline of how I remember things. It seems like there was Mid-Journey and you could do really cool images, but you really couldn't animate them. You could just
Mhm.
sort of like zoom in, with the video editor. And then Gen 2 came out and you could do text to image. And then eventually they released being able to do image to video. And then there was kind of this war between Pika and Runway about image to video quality for a while. But it seemed like that really, like, people glommed on to this image to video as like, I think it's better for the most part. But now I feel like some of the actual footage of text to video, like what I've seen with like Kling and Dream Machine, I haven't done as much with Runway, but like,
Mhm.
because it's, you don't get as many if you're not in
Mhm.
the programs or whatever. But I feel like the text to video is getting better, but if you're trying to tell a specific story and you have a look that you're dialing into, it might still be better to do Mid Journey. Do you feel like, is all of your stuff still doing
Yeah.
Mid Journey to a video generator?
So
Yeah, most
usually.
Oh,
we
what were you
can
saying?
have like a few shots of text to video because sometimes this is the only way to get certain very crazy effects or like going through a vortex or stuff like this.
Mhm.
Or so, but I'm finding really difficult to have like consistency with text to video. So it's cool if you're really looking for one specific shot.
Mhm.
But again, I think if you're looking like for physics and like water dropping and like transformation, something transforming into something else, it's still very good. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
I think if you also have more of a cinematic style, it's probably easier to keep that style consistency. I will say that I tried Kling for a project that we're working on, and I felt like it was handling the text to video really well with the style.
Mm-hmm.
And I was impressed because I've had a hard time kind of getting our style. I'm not going to say like characters, but I'm talking about like landscape or like just shots in between. I think characters we will always have to use some sort of image to video.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, for the in betweens, I was really impressed with what Kling was putting out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thought it's pretty cool too. I've just started playing with it last week and I was like, oh, this is good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, okay, last question, I promise. So your images are so. This is something I think may appeal to a lot of people who have seen your work, but there's so many layers and details in the images, not just the characters, but like things happening in the background or like stylistic details that really match the overall like aesthetic of the piece. Are you doing this all with like one like very elaborate prompt, or do you go in and you kind of like generate something and just start in painting those details with the in painting tool?
Depends.
Both.
Both.
Yeah,
What sort of is the do you sort of look at it and be like it's missing a giant clock or something? Like what do you how do you come to that determination? Just
yeah.
eyeballing it?
There is one very powerful trick for prompting is using a decade. Like if you're going for a certain style, this is oh, this is so 1960s, for example. And if you put this in the front of your prompt, you will get element of decor from 1960s. So it will work for architecture, decor, cars, anything, even hairstyles and stuff like this, so clothes, anything. So this is the most powerful tool in prompting. And then, of course, we're changing stuff. Like we knew like for this is coming to mind, like for the robots, Amy, we wanted like streamline buildings, so to have like 1950s feel, and we kept adding those details, sometimes manually or just like pushing that prompt button again and again and again, regenerates until you get what you want. Yeah, that's it.
That's great. That's
Yeah,
a good tip.
I think
Decades. That's a good tip.
yeah,
What's your tip?
decades, color schemes, metals, just keywords to kind of, or even saying like chaotic background, or saying what you want kind of in the background will kind of pull it in, or the scene. But yeah, sometimes we do go in, like I said, if we're like, oh, it would be cool if there was a picture of, I don't know, a picture of Denny the shark in the background on her wall, like she knows who that is. Then we would go in and try and get a picture frame. It doesn't need to be him, but we try and go and do a picture frame. Sometimes we try and get him in it. Oftentimes we'll just get a picture frame, cut it out, and insert, edit it, and then animate.
Yeah,
But yeah,
we're not afraid of edit
yeah,
pictures. I know some people are very purists with AI and they want the perfect output. We're not scared of editing stuff in Photoshop. So
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
I feel like there's the perfection, like that strive to perfection is just like, well, you're making it harder. Like this is just one more tool in the toolbox. It doesn't have to be the only tool in the toolbox.
Right.
So
Yeah, and I think that comes back around to us saying the story is more important. And so we want to do what's going to be best for the story. It doesn't really matter if it's pure AI or if it's a blend of different tools that we know how to use, whatever's going to be best for it.
yeah.
So
Yeah, that was almost like a thing a year or so ago where like you wanted to show something was 100% AI, but now it's like people, I feel like there's almost a backlash against that to some extent, but I think people just want to see a really interesting story that's like an AI helps you bring a more interesting visual style to telling those stories. So I think people like that.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
for people who are interested in seeing what you've done and what you're doing next, what are the best places to find you? And I'll put links to all of these as well.
Yeah. Instagram.
our website, there are all the links on it. So
Oh yeah, that's true.
so
But yeah, we're on Twitter and
Is it
Instagram.
what's the URL?
the
I feel like I
website
know. I'm
is
not sure if it's It's
Ethereal
Ethereal
Moon.
Moon. Yeah.
.xyz.
etherealmoon.xyz. Very cool. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to talk. This has been an absolute pleasure. It's nice talking to you, having watched a lot of your movies, and thanks for sharing a lot of tips as well.
Thanks for having us.
welcome. Thank you.
And thank you, listener, for being here. And if you enjoy conversations like this, be sure to subscribe. Until next time, keep generating.